to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. With me, my co-host, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Brosco from the Bronx.
What's up, yo?
Chilling, bro. Long week, but a good day. Very good day today, but I will say this, pal. The New York Yankees had a very bad day. 2 touchdowns to the Baltimore Orioles. Split the series, one beating doesn't change the fact that they took 2 out of 4.
Right.
But man, oh man, my takeaway from this, we'll let the viewers read up on this as we speak on it. My takeaway on this is that Luis Severino, I think it's time to really consider putting him in the pen.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, I really think he's starting to pitch himself out of a potential new contract. And I think he's going to be a guy the Yankees allow to walk.
Too much time lost. And just sometimes when you don't have it, you just don't have it. Mariano Rivera started as a starting pitcher.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Look where he wound up becoming. Probably the greatest saver closer ever.
Okay. In the history of the game. In Sevy's case, he's lost a lot of confidence, and that is the most important thing. But he does have good stuff. And I do think that potentially putting him into situational pitching, meaning out of the pen, could help the pen. And if he doesn't fit, the Yankees will know that it's time. But, you got Rodon, who's probably going to pitch right before the break, which is this coming weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Cortez, who will be back after the break. And you got Clark Schmidt, along with Herman, that basically fills out your rotation. I don't think there's a spot for Sevy right now.
No. I'll put him in the pen. Let him work 2 or 3 innings. He'll be okay. Just help close, be a bridge, whatever. Put him in the pen.
And the way that Boone has been doing it, it really is assigned matchups as closer by committee.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can contribute in the pen and have less, facing batters less times could be beneficial for a guy like that. Ramiro Mendoza made a living out of it with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So
I think it might be best. I think his confidence is lost. And I think what we got coming, we got enough pitches. But we got to hit the ball, though.
Yeah, dude.
We got to hit the ball.
I've said it on many shows recently. It's the Aaron Judge absence effect. Yeah. By the way, I'm just checking out the final scores here. Toronto did win both games of their doubleheader, so they currently jumped the Yankees for the last wild card spot. Now, this is only the midway point, but they are currently a half game ahead of us. Tampa Bay Rays did lose to the Philadelphia Phillies in 11. The Boston Red Sox beat our guy, Zappy's Texas Rangers. That's a team similar to the Yankees that I think is going to have to make a couple of moves.
Yeah.
If they want to hold off or stay neck and neck with those Houston Astros.
It's great that our division is so strong. And we're all within reach, shout distance of each other. I mean, the Rays got a good little lead, but it's not an insurmountable lead.
Not insurmountable by any means. And no. I want to piggyback you since you did say that. Mm-hmm. The Rays are going to be hosting the Atlanta Braves this coming weekend. And I'm actually considering going to one of those games. Obviously, I'll be pulling for the Braves because the Yankees do need the Rays to lose. But more so than that, I think that you're looking at a potential World Series preview. And at minimum, just a game between 2 excellent teams.
Yeah. The Braves, golly, man, those guys.
8 All-Stars, man. Or was it 9? 8 or 9 All-Stars. I believe they said 8.
They're insane, man. They had a few bad years, and all of a sudden, 2 years ago, here they come.
Yeah. World champions 2 years ago. Last year, won the division and had a short stay in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think that was a fluke year last year because
it was an aberration. It only takes 1 week in the playoffs.
Yeah. No one expected Philly to be what they were.
No, man. No, they whooped the Dodgers. They whooped the Braves. They earned their way to the World Series. I'll give them that.
They did.
But
the World Series.
They did. The better team won. And the only thing that I could even live with seeing the Astros win last year is I have a world of respect for Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
And another guy who I have a world of respect for, Reggie Jackson, happens to work for their organization now. So it wasn't all bad seeing them win. But believe me, I hate the Astros. Let me make that clear.
Oh, yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah, we just need to get to the break.
Yeah, this is a big series. We're hosting the Cubs. Yeah. I view it as a get-right series. As you can see down here, I mentioned the Orioles are heading to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Of course, we want to see Minnesota potentially put a couple of L's towards Baltimore. The Rays are playing the Braves. Yeah. So I tend to believe that
this weekend could work out for us.
Yeah, and it'll be a good momentum boost going into the break. We're not going to see number 99, Aaron Judge, I would have to say, until probably right around Brett's birthday, the beginning of August, I think is when we're going to be.
July, early August, yeah.
I believe so. And you know what? He's hitting off a tee, but right now he can't run, and he's too valuable to rush.
We can keep it close, and we're doing that right now. And even splitting with the Orioles, that helped because we didn't lose any ground with them, even though Toronto did jump us. But we're hanging
super momentarily. I'm not overly concerned about that. The frustration is they handled a White Sox team that we didn't. But I'm not into the business of making excuses. But it was an awkward series for the Yankees with all the smoke in the air during that series. It was a weird series, but it had to get played. I do want to make a mention of this. We hit on this last night, and I want to elaborate a little more on this subject. Shohei Ohtani, our friend Zappy made a good point before we went live here. Or actually, we're pre-recording. To trade or not to trade, he made a good point. With the Angels kind of plummeting again after showing some promise, it's kind of been their MO every year. Mike Trout's going to be gone for the better part of a month. Is this the time, if they're going to do it, to be like, you know what? This might be really painful for our fan base, but we got to think about it. I asked you literally yesterday, but this is something that we could take into consideration. Is this man going to get traded now that his co-star, Mike Trout, is going to be gone for a substantial amount of time?
Right now, I say right now is the time to trade him. Right now, will they do it? I think they're going to trade him. I don't know if they'll do it now, but I think right now is the time. With Trout being gone, that's all you have, Ohtani.
It's crazy. It's crazy because I've seen MVPs change teams in the offseason. The last two times it's happened was via trade. It was Giancarlo Stanton to the New York Yankees. And it was Alex Rodriguez to the New York Yankees when he was having an MVP season with the Rangers. Now, mind you, not during the season. But this is a very rare situation where it's complicated on a lot of levels because if you're a team that's trading for Ohtani, you want some kind of guarantee that he is going to stay with you because you're going to be giving up some substantial pieces to attain him for a postseason push.
Yeah. I still think it'd be the Dodgers, but like you said, it's a lot of stuff they're going to have to give up for him. Super recently. It's not going to be like, let's get two prospects and
this is a big. There's a lot of moving parts with a trade like of this magnitude, and I wouldn't even rule out if they include a third team.
Right.
Another thing that's interesting with this, you make the case for the Dodgers. Geographically, it makes sense because a huge reason why Shohei picked the Angels over the Yankees, over the East Coast in general. Yesterday's show made mention that the San Diego Padres could be the premier destination because of what they can offer.
Yeah, but I
don't see him staying there if he gets traded there.
I don't either.
They're like a consolation prize in Cali because the Giants and the Dodgers are still the big dogs.
I mean, because it would help Anaheim. It would help the Angels a lot because you could, the pieces.
Yeah.
But it would just be putting Showtime. I'm about to say Showtime.
He is Showtime because he shows out.
Yeah. Ohtani.
That's a great nickname, by the way. We might have to get that patented.
Ohtani, yeah. We had to trademark that one. But him going to the Padres is him going back to another bad team.
Now, this is the thing with the Padres. And we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Are they bad or are they just underachieving? Because, Zappy suggested Bob Melvin needs to get canned. It might happen very soon.
It could be because we all expected them to do something this year. They made a lot
Yeah.
They made a run. We said, okay, these guys look for real. Next year, they're going to compete for the division title.
I picked them to play the Yankees in the World Series and beat the Yankees this year.
Yeah, I remember. I think I picked them to go deep.
And they're the only way they're going deep to the basement. And it's crazy because, when you look at the talent on this team, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Fernando Tatis Jr., just to name a few. Personally, looking at their roster, I think what has let them down during the course of the year is that their pitching has not been up to snuff of what they expected.
Right.
Blake Snell is not who he used to be. Yu Darvish is not who he used to be.
Forgot about Darvish, man.
Yeah. Musgrove, in my opinion, is an ace. I think he is a bright spot there. But I think ultimately, and I said it in yesterday's show, you're talking about a team that has too many selfish me-first dudes. And it reminds me a little bit of how things went wrong with searching for the stars with the Los Angeles Lakers in basketball. It reminds me similar. Granted, it's a different sport. But but the All-Star break's coming up. I do want to ask you this because we didn't touch on this yesterday. Who is your pick for the All-Star Game MVP and the winning league? Do you like the National or the American? I have a funny hunch the National is going to finally break that hex of not beating the AL.
I'm going to AL.
He had no hesitation.
Yeah, I'm going to AL. MVP. It's hard to pick an MVP in All-Star game
because you don't know how many bats they're gonna get.
Right.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
That's the thing, and they don't play hard.
I kind of liked it when home field advantage was on the line.
Yeah,
because it made it a little more personal. But at the same time, I will be the first one to admit that I think it's very unfair that home field is going to be decided by, say, a player that's playing in the basement. I get it, excitement value, but I think home field should particularly. Now, this is the thing. Everybody likes money.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe make a substantial money situation because not every All-Star is making what every All-Star is making. Sometimes you got them. I don't know. There's got to be more incentive to play this game a little harder because it goes without saying that we saw that World Baseball Classic and these guys were going real hard.
They were going, dude. They were playing like it was the
World Mexican Series. Team really surprised me. I think they were great. What Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic put on phenomenal game. But I do
like it was the World Series. They were
absolutely. So I do tend to, and it ended. It culminated with this guy Shohei striking out his boy Trout.
Yep.
I still don't think he's going to get traded. I think the Angels are going to hold out hope that they could retain him. And I guess if you were going to go to hold out hope to retain a player, it would be this guy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to lean towards he's not leaving. I said it last night. I look like a big hypocrite if one day I changed my opinion. So for now, Shohei stays with the Angels. I think he's going to be the richest player in the history of Major League Baseball when that contract is sewed up.
I believe that.
But this is the thing. Maybe the guy that they need to move on from is actually Mike Trout.
They should have been moved on from Mike Trout.
Well, Mike Trout should have been moved on from them too. I mean, I get loyalty. Mike Trout grew up Toms River, New Jersey. Yeah. Grew up a diehard New York Yankees fan.
Right, and it was at one point I thought he would be going to the Yankees.
I did too, and I think that ship has sailed because the Yankees have enough guys who have had trouble being on the field. I love Mike Trout. I respect Mike Trout. Similar to a guy he gets compared to a lot, Ken Griffey Jr. Sadly, just too much time on the injured list.
Yeah, because the Angels relied too much on that guy. It was always Trout.
And that's another good point to make, Idris, because now it's going to be Ohtani.
Yeah.
And, America's MVP, Zappy loves to break my balls with this, and the greatest player in the world, sorry, buddy, I still think it's Aaron Judge.
What we got?
We have a death in the Giants family. Former Mississippi State star Johnny Cooks, Colts top pick in 82 and Super Bowl champ with the New York Giants, passes away at the age of 64.
We've lost a lot of people this year.
Yeah. Unfortunately, indeed, we have lost way too many people. And we've lost some people in the Giants family.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Judy Coughlin.
Yeah.
We lost Homer Jones recently.
Homer Jones, yep.
Yeah, man. Our condolences to his family. Never like to hear that. 64 is not old.
No.
So that's unfortunate. I do want to hit on, you know what? We'll start here and we'll end with Dame Lillard. NFL Hot Potato. Basically, this segment, I'm going to ask Idris a random question. If he feels free, he could throw one back at me. And we are just going to talk about what we think about anything and everything NFL for the next 25 or 30 minutes in terms of anything at all, like with the season coming up. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to start it, and I'm going to ask Idris a question, and we'll see where this takes us. All right, Idris. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, which NFL quarterback in the year 2023 takes the biggest leap, whether it be a guy who maybe has been overlooked, a guy who maybe hasn't succeeded, or a guy who's on the fringe that now it could be superstardom time? However you care to answer this question, who do you think's the player or players that's going to take that legitimate leap?
I had three in mind.
Okay.
One would be Justin Herbert because of
yes. Good call. Good shout.
He got Moore as his OC, and Moore ran the same offense that Herbert ran at Oregon.
Yeah, I think there could be a lot of upside with that.
Yeah. I say Daniel Jones is one of them because even though we don't really have a true number one, I think we got enough around him now with the experience they had from last season to go forward, providing Saquon doesn't sit out the season, which I don't think he will.
Yeah, he ain't sitting out.
I don't think he's sit out.
He's going to get a deal, actually, and I do believe that. And it's coming soon because it's creeping towards us.
Yeah. 2 more weeks, another week or so.
Yeah, buddy.
The other one I say is Jared Goff. He looked good last year.
I give him that. He looked a lot more like the quarterback that played for LA.
Yeah, he looked good last year. Another year in the system, another year around the players, another year with Dan Campbell as coach. They got a lot of confidence. It's just the defense, but we're talking about the quarterback. But I say Goff, Jones, and I would say Herbert would be my number one because he has the OC that he needs.
Yeah, Kellen Moore, it's so funny. Some person's trash is another person's treasure. And I believe that sometimes it's not that guys can't coach no more. It's not that guys can't call plays anymore. It's not that guys don't know how to call an offensive game plan. It's sometimes things get stale and you need a new assignment to enhance what you do. And you made a mention of how Herbert, what he did great in college, is conducive to what this man teaches and the way this man runs offense. So, yes, I think it's actually a good thing. I think Austin Eckler approaching a frustration because he wants to, get a bigger deal. He's going to have a big year. Mike Williams sadly missed the playoff game because he played in a game he shouldn't have played in.
Right.
Keenan Allen's been often injured as well, but that is a great tandem when together.
Yeah.
They have a lot of weapons. Do I think that they can challenge the Chiefs for the West? I'll reveal that on our show in about a month. But as of right now, I'm gonna go with the world champs.
Oh yeah.
But this is a team that is very talented, and to rebuttal you, I agree with two of them. I'm gonna say Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert for sure. The reason why I'm not gonna say Jared Goff has nothing to do with the way he performed. Mm-hmm. I think Jared Goff is kind of like he's already been up and he's already been down and he's already been up again.
Right.
The guy that I think is going to take the mammoth jump, and I'm going to call this early in advance. My sleeper for NFL MVP this year is a guy that we got to see last season. I'm talking about Mr. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that he might have that mammoth kind of year. Do I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are good enough to go to the Super Bowl? No, I don't. But I do think that this guy is going to be emerging into that conversation of the top 3 or 4. Because the top 3 or 4 in any particular order, you got Patrick Mahomes, you've got Joe Burrow, you got Josh Allen, who I think is just a peg behind those two.
Yeah.
And you got to put Aaron Rodgers in that conversation for the sheer fact of his resume. And I would say number 5 is up for the taking because you have Lamar Jackson, who might be resurgent now with getting some new toys, not just Odell Beckham, but also what they did in the draft.
Yeah.
You're talking about, he got his money. He's a little happier now. I think Lamar is a good candidate for comeback player of the year. I believe that, let me think about this momentarily. Yeah, DJ, you crossed the boxes with DJ. That makes sense to me. And you made a point. They don't have a number 1. But what they do have is a top 5 tight end when healthy, and that's Mr. Darren Waller, who I actually think could serve as the number 1 receiver in a lot of variables because he's going to be
like one.
Yes, like one. He's going to be lining up wide a lot, being a mismatch for the slower linebackers. And I also think that Daniel Bellinger is going to be lining up on the line as the traditional tight end. Giants could get creative. Paris Campbell was a nice little pickup. I am praying and hoping that the combination of Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson, both coming off of knee injuries, can contribute together, similarly to what Buffalo has done over the years with that slot position.
Yeah.
Wan'Dale, I don't expect him back until about maybe Halloween, maybe middle of October. They're not going to rush that kid back.
No.
Shepard is on borrowed time, and I'll be honest, Shepard is a candidate to get cut potentially in camp. I don't want to, fly off the rails too much about the Giants, but what I will say is I agree with 2 of your 3, but my number 1 would have to be Trevor Lawrence. My number 2 is going to be Daniel Jones. And I'm going to, just to think outside the box, I mentioned Lamar, and I'll throw in Dak's name for one simple reason. Dak's been up, he's been down, he's been in the middle, he's been consistent. He's owned the NFC East. We got to give him that.
Yeah.
But one thing about Dak is that if he don't get it done this year with his head coach, they will both be leaving. They're both out of there.
With Dak, and I'm gonna throw something at you too in a second. With Dak, and this is no shade against the Cowboys, and the issue I have a lot of the fans they blaming Kellen Moore and all of this and all that. Yeah, Kellen Moore
sounds familiar.
Blamed. Yeah, Kellen Moore could be blamed, but the player still has to go out there and play the game.
Okay,
and Dak. You're 7 years in. You in the top 5 each year in passing.
Yeah, most years. And even though he threw the picks, he does have some blow-up games.
But he can't get it done. Kirk Cousins is the same way. Kirk Cousins stays in the top 5 to 8 every year.
I agree with you.
He can't get it done. So
notice how I didn't mention him.
Right. So you have to ask yourself, because I see, I go with Cowboy fans all the time, like, okay, they keep putting this weapon around him. This guy has had some of the best receivers. And even when Zeke was up there, he had Zeke, he had Pollard, he had freaking.
I think losing Zeke is going to be bigger than people realize for the sheer fact that he brings a blocking element.
Right. And he had Cooper. I mean,
they did bring in Brandon Cooks. That's
the point I'm making.
I like that move.
That's the point I'm making. It's like
to get it done.
That's the point I'm making. Because see, I told Cowboy fans Mike McCarthy likes to throw the ball. Now they complain for the past couple of years. That's all we do is throw the ball to the ball. But see, they're happy they bought more receivers. I said that's why he's not in Green Bay anymore.
That's a good point.
He wouldn't run the ball. He would not run the ball. What happened last season?
Matt LaFleur has made a bigger commitment to running the ball in Lambeau. I agree with you there.
Okay, let me throw this at you. I guess I got 2 to throw at you.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
First one. Is Zeke's career over? For number 1.
Okay.
Number 2. Let me phrase this right. Arizona. I mean, D-Hop.
D-Hop, yes.
Where does he end up?
Ooh, I like both these questions. Okay. We'll start with Zeke. Do I think his career is over in terms of being what he was? Yes. Do I think that there's a distinct possibility that with the running back position being at an all-time low in terms of value and with new kids coming in every year, it makes it harder for a guy like him to stay in the league? Once again, another check. If I'm Ezekiel Elliott, I am trying like hell to rejoin the team that cut me, take a veteran minimum because of the fact that there is that possibility that if the Cooks move replaces Cooper properly, they do have a hell of a defense. Got to give them that. Micah Parsons is phenomenal, truly phenomenal. Yeah, he really is. You know, and when you look at Pollard's backup, you don't necessarily have that same trust that you would with a Zeke. If I'm Zeke, I'm trying to go back to the Cowboys. If he doesn't go back to the Cowboys, yes, even if he signs with another team, his career is over. He'll be an afterthought. He'll be out of the league at the end of this year. DeAndre Hopkins is an interesting one. I think it comes down ultimately to what does he want? Does he want to win or does he want to get paid? Because I don't necessarily think that both things are going to happen in the same place. Mm-hmm. I think the perfect situation for DeAndre Hopkins, there's two of them. I think it goes without saying that the best possible destination would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. He would be a great compliment to Kadarius Toney, to Sky Moore. Travis Kelce, as far as I'm concerned, is the A1 there. Even though he is a tight end, he is a hybrid tight end. Mm-hmm. A consolation prize for terms of best situation for DeAndre Hopkins, but the thing is, the ego would have to get checked at the door between both future Hall of Famers. Right. Would be the Buffalo Bills, because playing opposite of Stephon Diggs would push Gabe Davis down to the number 3, which is a place that I actually think that he belongs. I don't consider big game Gabe Davis as a number 2. I think he's a beneficiary off of having the great Stephon Diggs alongside him. And Diggs has been a little mouthy about his frustration with the direction of the team. So getting a D-Hop, I think, widens your window a little bit more. But I have a funny suspicion that DeAndre Hopkins is going to end up with the New England Patriots.
I do too.
And I think it actually makes sense on a few different levels, because the Patriots, and I've said this to Brett and on other shows, what they do better, or what they could do better potentially than any other team in that division, is run the football, because it ain't at the quarterback position.
Right.
Do they still have the best coach in that division? I'm going to say, yeah, they still do. Do I have them finishing last in that division? Probably. But you add a D-Hop, you got Juju, you have 2 decent tight ends, mm-hmm. You have a very good running back in Ramondre Stevenson, who's going to take a bigger role now that Damian Harris is in Buffalo. Yep. Things have to really go the Patriots' way for them to be a playoff team, but if you add a D-Hop, I think you are sending the message to your fan base that you are trying to get better quicker. And D-Hop will get paid. So that's also a thing that because I'm looking around the league and I'm saying, who's going to pay this dude? I don't see it. Oh. But, it comes down to, what, does he want to win or does he want to get paid? I'm not sure what the answer is to that, but I'm going to just make an assumption that if it's not New England, it's Kansas City, and I don't think Buffalo gets him.
I agree with him. I think with D-Hop, and it's the ego, and he's a good receiver. It's just, I'm hearing the same thing. It's the ego.
And I'm not dogging him for having an ego.
Right.
He is that damn good. And when you have done it for that many years, it is very uncomfortable for one of your contemporaries to be considered the number 1, when in some people's metrics, you might be the better player. My thing is, do what you guys do and benefit each other.
Yeah. I think it's money with him. I think it's money because
I tend to agree, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's
money. I like his game.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching him play, but I don't believe in my heart and soul that his end game is on that dog level like a Michael Irvin.
Right.
Or name a guy that was like a legitimate dog in your eyes. I mean, hell, a prime Victor Cruz before the injuries, a prime Odell before the injuries.
Because with Odell, I got to give it to him.
Another guy, T.O.
Yeah. And see, those are guys like T.O. and Odell. They were head cases, but they wanted to win.
Hell yeah, they wanted to win. They put it all out on the field, like them or not.
Yeah. And yeah, they wanted to win. So that's why with D-Hop, I think it's not about winning. I think it's about getting paid.
I'm kind of on board with you on that one, but I will say this: if he has the opportunity to play with Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be hard to want to play with Mac Jones. But money is money, and money talks. I got one for you.
All right.
Will Deshaun Watson recapture his 2020 form when he was considered a top 5 quarterback before the allegations derailed his career?
No.
No.
I'm
going to say to be determined. I have reasons to believe yes, and I have reasons to believe no.
I believe he'll be successful. I don't think he'll be like he was. Reason being, that division has gotten stronger.
And they are so physical. The AFC is where it's at with quarterbacks.
Because you in the AFC East, you got Allen, you got Tua, now you got Aaron Rodgers.
Indeed.
That division. I mean, Pittsburgh still got Trubisky and the new kid, but you still got Burrow. You got
Then you got. I actually got Lawrence. Pittsburgh, and it's too early to tell, and I might change my prediction. But as of right now, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first time in the Mike Tomlin era having a losing season, and it's no indictment on him as a coach or the roster. I just think that they're in a tweener position. But then again, if a guy like T.J. Watt plays all the games, and some of the supporting members of that defense,
an
8-win team could be an 11-win team. I got them going 8-9 and barely missing another winning season. But, Tomlin's a great coach, so he's not a guy that I want to doubt. But I do have the Cleveland Browns finishing slightly ahead of them. But I think with Deshaun, it's going to be a mixed bag.
Yeah, I think he'll do good. I think he will do good. I just think because now that the conference and the division has gotten stronger, Cleveland is Cleveland, dude. Cleveland can do whatever, but eventually, just like the Mets, shout out to the Mets,
always.
Cleveland is going to be Cleveland.
Indeed. Yeah, bro, it is what it is. I couldn't have – I can't really agree more when I think about it. I'm going to hit you with one more, and then you can send a few towards my direction. AR8, formerly AR12, you just mentioned him, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, one of my dad's favorites. Do you believe that he will be able to fully handle the responsibility of dealing with a very difficult New York media when he starts hitting the wall in the beginning? Because I have a feeling that if he could survive the awkwardness of the first 8-9 weeks, I mean, they might get off to a good start, and he might be a darling in New York.
Yeah.
But if they get off to a slow start, which I think is more realistic, before they hit their stride, I'm curious to see how Rodgers handles this, because you can get away with certain shit and not shitting on the city of Wisconsin, not shitting on Green Bay. I got a lot of respect for that organization and what they mean to the league.
New York is New York.
New York is New York, indeed. And
love you today, run you out of town tomorrow.
Buddy, everybody gets booed in New York at one point or another. I think one of the few athletes, to my recollection, who has never been booed in New York is Don Mattingly.
That's it. Yeah.
But it's like a very. I mean, dude, even Derek Jeter has been booed.
Yeah, even Derek Jeter.
I mean, bro,
and all he did was win.
And all he did was win, but it didn't start immediate.
Yeah.
95. Excuse me, is where he actually got some action, and George, rest his soul, considered trading him.
Sure did.
But I guess what I'm saying is, do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to hack it with Nathaniel Hackett? We call that a segue, kids.
Yeah. Hackett would hack it.
Yeah.
You know what? I think he will. I look at him, how he is in New York right now, and we didn't see none of this in Green Bay.
No,
he's a totally different guy.
It's a new energy. It's like if you leave a job after a few decades or after a couple decades, whatever. It's almost like you need that to reinvigorate yourself.
Yeah, and see, when all he is in Green Bay, I never seen him just living it up, laughing, joking.
Yeah, he's been a man of the town, man. Going to the Ranger games, going to the Knick games, looking happy,
and he
kicking it with sauce.
Yeah, and see what I see with Aaron Rodgers. This is why I never got mad at him, because he's kind of like me. He's like, I ain't worried about the world, and that's why I never bashed him. He's like, I'm up here. I'm in here. Y'all can't get in here. He said what he had to say. Look, and he laughed it off.
Right.
I think he'll be able to deal with it. I think if he has a bad year this year, I think he'll call it quits. I think he'll.
And I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think with that defense they got over there,
I think the Jets are going to be tough because they got that defense.
Indeed.
He got all of his weapons from Green Bay. Lazard, Cobb. I mean,
Cobb's over there. Mercedes Lewis is over there. Plus, he has.
So he got guys that know him, and he knows them.
And he has the reigning rookie of the year on offense.
Oh, yeah, and he got
and the defensive rookie with Sauce.
Yeah. So
you got Garrett Wilson and Sauce. That's pretty good stuff.
Right. Because see, I tell people I'm a diehard Giants fan, but the only other team that I want to see succeed are the Jets. I've never hated them.
I don't have that same disdain for them that I do for like the New York Mets, or the Brooklyn Nets, or the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah,
I hate the Devils.
Giants at all. You know,
I hate the Devils more than the Islanders. Well, the truth is because the Devils had a lot of success. You know, you have to be good to hate. That is. I mean, listen, I've always hated the Eagles.
Yeah,
but with their brash of success over the past decade of just being a quality run organization, it has enhanced my hatred for them.
Right.
Because for years,
exactly.
I mean, Giant superfan Joe Ruback had that jersey for years, the zero jersey.
The zero jersey, yeah.
And you know, for a good cause, he put it away, so to speak, forever.
Yeah. Sadly.
But you know, he had a good run with that jersey.
Yeah, he did.
All right, I'm up for a question, man. Anything you want to throw at me?
Yeah, you took that one question for me with Aaron Rodgers because that was
mine. You were thinking about that? My bad, bro.
Nah, you straight.
Like-minded, bro. Like-minded.
Yeah. I was. As soon as you said ARA, I said he got my question.
Like-minded for sure.
Let's see. Arizona.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's gonna be out for a while.
Yeah. Why? There's a Call of Duty tournament going on? No, I'm just messing.
Yeah. What do you see them doing this year?
Oh my!
They were already bad.
Listen, bro. I'm still in utter amazement that future Hall of Famer J.J. Watt chose them over Green Bay. I really thought for sure he was going to Green Bay.
He was going to Green Bay. That's what.
Bro, I thought they have not recovered since the Green Bay Packers beat them. Remember 2 years ago? Yeah. Midway point, they were like 9-1 or some shit. I think they're actually no bullshit. They were undefeated. And Green Bay beat them.
And they crashed.
Bro. They haven't been right since. And that's when AJ Green had said controller disconnected. That was a popular meme for a while.
Do you know why? I mean, I want you to answer the question, but do you know why I don't like them? These are the reasons I don't like them.
Well, they used to be in the NFC East, for one.
I mean, other than that, because they were tough too. This is why I don't like them. I don't like the way they did Steve Wilkes. They gave him 1 year and got him out the door. And then with Kyler Murray, I never liked Kyler. I never liked him.
And I always saw him as like, listen, there's nothing wrong with having a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
But I find him, okay, who do we compare him to if you're talking the measurables, like being a smaller dude that plays that position? I would say Flutie and Wilson off the jump.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have what those dudes have, and that's an intangible and a hunger to want to win. I mean, I get it. Russ is coming off a shit year. I get it. But Russ already has a resume. You know, Doug Flutie did a lot of beautiful things in Buffalo.
Yeah, in New England.
True.
Yeah, and I just wasn't cool with the hiring. I felt they could have got someone else because I said here's a coach in Kingsbury who never won nothing. They brought him in that little gimmick offense. They Kyler Murray, which I never liked Oklahoma quarterbacks.
Yeah, you've mentioned that on previous shows.
I always say you draft an Oklahoma quarterback, you don't want to win. I was probably one of the very few who said Baker Mayfield will be a backup within a couple of years. Oh no, he's going to do this. Baker Mayfield will be a backup.
This is his chance. Speaking to him, I don't want to cross-talk you.
Right. Oh, but the question
yeah. You go first, then I'll add on that Baker thing. But what do I think Arizona's going to do? I'll tell you right now. I think they're literally going to be the worst team in the entire league. I think that team will be lucky to win more than 3 games. They're going to be like 3-14, 2-15. I'm going to say 3-14. They'll get some fluky divisional win, maybe, and that's a maybe. But they're very bad. They are so bad. They when I look at them, it's just a bad mix of everything. And I feel bad for James Conner. He's stuck in that situation.
Yeah.
They got a terrible team. And
play for us at one time?
Kyler Murray's going to be out of the league in 4 years.
I don't think it'd be that long. Didn't James Conner play for us one time?
James Conner, you're thinking of...
he came from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he came from Pittsburgh. We were actually considing giving
we had John Conner, the fullback. So
yeah. That's right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we got, in my opinion, the absolute worst team in the league because a lot of people rather would pick maybe Houston, but with D'Amico Ryans there, I think Houston is actually going to compete with people. I don't think they're going to be a pushover.
Last year.
They did, and they did show up in certain games and gave teams.
When they lost last year, they didn't lose a lot of bad games. They were
they were competing. They almost beat Dallas. They almost beat us. They competed with us.
Yeah.
They had some moments against quality teams that showed that they're not a pushover.
Shout out to Lovie Smith.
Yeah, Lovie. I thought Lovie did a great job for what he was asked to do, but it's a no-win situation.
It's the last game of the season that I like. He said, we're going to win this shit.
Best beard in the league. Yeah, I saw that. You said, fuck y'all giving me this bullshit game.
Fire me anyway. I'm going to win this game.
But you know what? In the grander scheme of things, I kind of think it worked out for them.
It really did. It did.
Yeah. So it's funny how things work out. But as a fan, if my team is tanking and then they decide to win, I'm going to get pissed. Not that I ever root. Listen,
that's true.
In the Joe Judge era, we were sucking. I never purposely will root against my team. That I won't do. Yeah. Even in a lost season, it's always Giants pride.
Yeah.
But I must admit that if we were in a situation to score the 1 pick, and now you want to play for 3 hours?
Sit your asses down.
Right.
Should put a joke.
I mean, as much as I hate the Philadelphia Eagles for what they did a couple of years ago, and as much as I can't stand Doug Peterson to this day, listen, there was no glory in winning the NFC East in 2020, but it still pissed me off.
Yeah. Because
I still, in my brain, said, you know what, man? We might not be a very good team, but we certainly have that guy's number in Tampa, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
That first season with Joe Judge, we played hard.
Indeed.
We played hard.
The reason I got so irritated with that is like, and I think I did make a mention. Actually, I did make a mention to your cousin, but this is off the air, and he confirmed a couple of things to me that I was confused about.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna put it like that, out of respect for that part of it. I feel that not everything's for the air, but I will say that I appreciated him enlightening me.
Yeah,
on a couple of miscommunications for some players that are pretty awesome. And that, I guess the perception, because it was on national television.
Yeah. It was
why, game. Yes, indeed.
Night, everything. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Shout out Aaron Moorhead. That was an awesome show. We had a great time.
Waiting on Jason Kelsey. Anytime. Come to the show. It's okay.
By the way, Dexter's going to be closing the gap on Mr. Kelsey this year. I just want to say that. Head to head. Yeah, that's gonna be a hell of a matchup twice a year, maybe 3 times. We did play him 3 times.
Both y'all, come on.
Yeah, by all means. If you guys aren't busy, you only got top 5 podcasts in the country. But if you're not busy,
right, can't pay you, but
that ain't gonna happen. You guys are doing well with your gigs. Okay, speaking of Travis Kelce, does he continue his utter dominance of carving out potentially the greatest career of all tight ends? Does it continue?
Yeah, I believe
he and Pat just got it down like that.
Yeah, I believe he will. I think he'll retire a Chief, or he'll be as long as Mahomes is.
I can't imagine him being in another uniform at this juncture. No. Just like I can't imagine his brother playing for somebody else.
I would like to see his brother come to KC one day, and play with him while it's still on a good.
That would be kind of dope because they both play offense.
Yeah, that
would be kind of dope, and Andy Reid's there, former Eagles coach. That's kind of a cool little caveat to that story, too. I'm going to throw one at you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Zappy said this the other day off air. just shooting the shit with me.
Mhm.
Do you feel that Andy Reid deserves to start getting into that category? And, assuming that things are going to continue to happen, obviously he has the best quarterback in the world, that he could jump, or maybe on some people's minds he is better than Bill Belichick. Michael Vick was actually the guy that brought this up.
I think he can be. I'm not going to put him there because Belichick, I mean, there's no denying that the championships he got. He had a great quarterback just like Andy Reid has.
Indeed.
And with Kansas City, you could say they're picking up players who weren't the top.
Right.
Everything just like Belichick was. But Belichick maintained his dominance over 20 years.
Right.
Damn it, 20 years.
And a thing with that pisses me off. Mm-hmm. They're always comparing Belichick and Tom. Tom won without him. Belichick hasn't won without him. And you said Tom Brady, great for 2 decades. The New England Patriots, great for 2 decades. We get it. But what I get aggravated with, and this is why I give Bill the edge over Andy. Bill did it with top 10 defenses, sometimes top 5 defenses, sometimes best defenses, consistently for Tom. And that was a big part of them winning. And listen, I'm not saying that the Chiefs haven't fielded some good defenses, and I have nothing but respect for their coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, who was instrumental in beating the Patriots in the greatest upset of all time. Not to mention that he did replace Ben McAdoo, and I'm going to call out owner John Mara here. I mean, I'm happy with where we are now with Brian Dable. Mm-hmm. But I believe that Steve Spagnuolo should have been given that job because it wasn't Pat Shurmur, it wasn't Joe Judge, and they were proven wrong for making those hires. But so you're basically saying you're not giving it to giving it to Andy just yet.
No, it's too soon.
I'm with you, and to be honest, it always helps. The commonality is that they have the GOAT in a lot of people's estimations. And in my estimation, barring bad injuries and things of that nature, I think that Patrick Mahomes, when it's all said and done, is going to surpass Brady as most people's GOAT. I think
he will. He may not get 7 chips.
No, I mean that's a lot, dude.
Yeah, but I think he'll be like Peyton Manning.
If that dude gets 4,
you got to really start thinking about because the numbers.
He's halfway there, bro. He's already halfway to 4, and he's still got, like I said, barring injuries. I think Mahomes is looking at least 4 or 5 more Super Bowl appearances. How many of those he wins, that is yet to be revealed because he showed me a lot last year. Yeah, winning without Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there was a controversial call in the game.
Yeah.
But Bradbury got away with the one that he didn't get away with in the 4th. I was actually in favor of that call. I will say this because I'm a fair person. Mm-hmm. I do believe that on the Jalen Hurts fumble, the Chiefs got away with one because there was a visible face mask. That was, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Ask Tom Brady and Charles Woodson about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think if Mahomes doesn't get number 1, I think he'll then should be number 2.
I mean, dude, it's in the writing because friend of the show Sergio Rodriguez had a hot take. I mean, roughly about a week or so ago, and he made mention that Peyton Manning, not the same quarterback in the playoffs as in the regular season. There's a lot of variables to that. I agree with some of his take. Mm-hmm. I do believe that you got to take into consideration that you are more than likely playing the best defenses in the league in the postseason.
Right.
I mean, if you give me the option to start a team, there's a distinct possibility that Peyton Manning is going to be the guy that I want to build it around, not necessarily Tom Brady or Joe Montana.
Right.
Because I saw Peyton as a guy that literally did not need a head coach or an OC. No knock on Tony Dungy. Mm-hmm. No knock on Jim Caldwell. I'm just keeping it a buck of how intelligent that man was. Coming up on roughly the 10-minute mark, we're going to flip it over to baskets for a minute. First of all, before we move it along, because I don't think Dame's going to take that long. Is there anything else you want to speak on? I mean, we got football shows galore coming up in roughly 4 weeks. Anything else you want to speak on, though?
Nah, I'm going to hold the football off because it's a lot of football, and I want to talk a lot of football.
I'm gonna make one last hot take before I go about it. Mm-hmm. Bijan Robinson is going to lead the league in rushing this year as a rookie.
Ooh. Oh, it's a rookie. Okay.
That's a hot take and a half. But yeah, I'm talking about the NFL. He's going to lead the league in rushing.
It wouldn't surprise me. That guy's
I got a vibe, but I still think the Falcons are going to Falcon.
Yeah, time out. I think New Orleans is going to win the division.
I agree with you there.
But I'm not sold on Carolina pulling up second.
Dude, I'm not sold on any of those teams. The reason I like the Saints the best is because they have the best defense in that league in that division by far.
Got the best quarterback too.
I like the ascension of Chris Olave. Mm-hmm. I do not have an opinion on what Michael Thomas is or isn't going to do, because if he contributes at all, that will be pretty awesome. And I'm going to shout out our guy Brett. You're about a year off on this. Derek Carr will improve.
Yeah. I think it'll be New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa is going to be in the basement. We talked about the Arizona Cardinals. I got Tampa finishing as a bottom 5 team, but Baker Mayfield is going to hold that job down for the entire season. I will say that. And I wish him well, because, I don't wish any of these guys bad, really. Mm-hmm. We're going to speak on the future of Dame Lillard. I'm going to have you start this out. What are your thoughts on what's some of the stuff that's been coming out in terms of, and I know that you were ready for this.
I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of these players in general, whining and crying. I want to go play with this player. I want to go play with that player. I'm so tired of all of them.
Okay.
These guys are soft. Dame Lillard, I want to go play in Miami. I want to play in Miami. I want to play Miami. Okay, but Miami doesn't have the assets. And I feel like, okay, you may feel like, okay, they owe Dame their duty to get him to a place he want to be. However, you have to run an organization.
And you know damn well with the success ratio and I hate the Miami Heat.
Right.
But with the success that they have built between Coach Spoelstra and Pat Riley in the GM spot, you're talking what? 6 NBA Finals, 7 counting this year.
Right.
3. What are they? 3 and 4 in 7 NBA Finals appearances with that dynamic of either Riley coaching or Riley being up top. And it's not just a LeBron and D Wade thing. These are different teams.
Right.
Jimmy Buckets has competed in 2 finals in the last 4 years. 2 finals. So I'll put it to you like this. Mm-hmm. Good friend of the show, George, he asked me a question today. He said he was digging the show, and he loves our takes. And he said that when I kind of identified Jimmy as a great player, but as ideally a number 2, he asked me, well, who's the one that you need? And I did bring up Dame Lillard would be the right guy for that team. But to your point, I do not believe that they have the assets to make that work. And if they acquired him, it wouldn't be done responsibly.
Because you would have to give. They talk about Tyler Hero, but they want
Tyler
more.
Hero you could move on from, but it's going to take.
But they want more,
and it's going to take stuff that you cannot necessarily.
Because they lost Strus. He's gone. He's gone to Indiana. Strus and what's that other kid? I can't think of his name. But they lost 2 of the players. Strus and the other kid, the young kid, I can't think of his name. So they got to fill that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I said it on quite a bit since they were in this playoffs. Miami is going to be new look. I just am not completely convinced that you want to shake up what works completely when you're talking about Bam Adebayo, you're talking about Jimmy Buckets. And, the many role players they got. And there were certain guys that I knew had to move on, and some of them have already done that. Mm-hmm. I know Duncan Robinson.
Yeah. It's just – and see, Dame is the greatest shooter scored. He does not play defense. He's not a defender. And see, this what gets me about this era of basketball. There's so many so-called superstars, but most of them do not play defense.
Indeed.
They're just shooters. They don't play defense. And I'm like, I need someone who's going to play defense. See, Dame doesn't have that length that they need. Giannis is coming back.
I'll tell you where Dame's going to end up, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dame potentially, and this is potentially, could make sense with San Antonio, but it might not be a direct move there. He might have to go somewhere else and get bought out, or somewhere else and be the good soldier and then end up there.
Yeah. Because, Brook Lopez, he re-signed with Milwaukee. Middleton re-signed with Milwaukee. So those are long guys. Miami's going to need some length. I could see him going to San Antonio with a sign and trade. Yeah.
San Antonio could make sense, but that's another thing too. Do you want to – is that necessarily the move that you want to make when you're building your future around a very young player?
That's the question.
I mean, it's so funny how things work and how narratives change. Because the funny thing is, he's been a darling of the media for staying in Portland so long, and within about a week to 10 days of making some demands, we're like kind of putting him in the same category as a lot of guys that we don't care for. Yeah. But I get it. Losing sucks.
Yeah.
And playing your heart out sucks, but I think there has to be a happy medium. And it's not necessarily Dame's fault or Dame created this. It's that it's a narrative that guys like LeBron created and other players too. And I have said this to be fair to LeBron. I do believe that his star, his legacy outshines KD and his other contemporaries for the sheer fact that he has won in multiple locations as their best player.
Right.
Whereas KD has come up hella small in Brooklyn, in Phoenix, going back to when he was the big dog in OKC in the early part of his career when they made the transition from Seattle to OKC. But I think San Antonio would be a good destination. And there are a couple of other teams that could be in play. I wouldn't rule out the Clippers. I don't see them with the Lakers. That I don't see.
No.
Thinking of teams out east that can make sense. Okay. I could see him in Philly. That I could see. But I don't see him in Miami.
I don't either.
I think it makes sense. Yeah, but yes, they don't have the assets to fly out. I mean, even if you deal a Duncan Robinson and a Tyler Hero, I think it's going to take more. But you never know. Now, oddly enough, our New York Knicks have a shit ton of draft capital. They have 11 first-round picks over the course of the next 5, 6 years, 4 years, something like that. The point is that the Knicks, believe it or not, might have the equity to actually make Portland think about this. Let me keep it a buck. I like that pickup, putting together the big three from Nova, all on the Knicks.
The big ragu.
Right. I love it.
I love it.
I
love it.
I think it's great.
I love it because he can stretch you to three. He can stretch you to
that is what the Knicks needed last year. I mean, listen, I enjoyed Obi Toppin. I loved to watch. I saw him in person, and he had one of the most ferocious dunks.
Yeah, I remember that.
Seasons ago. I said Obi with the throwdown in O-Town. That thing was dirty, bro.
Yeah, I remember that.
That looked like a dunk contest dunk.
I remember that.
Knicks broke a franchise record for most threes in a game. Yeah, that was quite the night, and, things change. But he ain't coming here either. But I did want to make a mention that the Knicks, in my opinion, have enough to get him.
Yeah.
But similar to what we said about Romo, Dak and McCarthy, if Tibbs doesn't get it done, he's on the outs, and I think Randall might be close to him.
Send Randall, and I like RJ Barrett.
Bro, I'm okay with moving out from RJ.
I say send RJ Barrett, send Randall, give him a pick, bring Dame in.
I'll be honest, though. Revisiting the trade that didn't happen, I do question if Donovan Mitchell, if the deal should have been done after seeing our inadequacies. After, oddly enough, we beat Donovan Mitchell's team. We have so much more to talk about, and this is going to be a conversation we continue.
Yes.
For Idris, I am Richie. Thank you so much for watching, and have